Yeah, they came last night
What
and
did
they
they really
asked
ask you?
about my shelters, because I do run shelter for women.
Yes.
So they asked about the shelters, and I said, yes, I do have them. And the first thing when I saw them, I said, how come you're here at this time of the night? Please don't come at this time, because your presence really it makes everybody very scared. So don't come
Yes.
to people's houses, at 9 o'clock at night.
How many
Uh,
people came?
well, there were a car full of people, about 7, 8, 9. Usually they come in big groups of people. So then we went. They talked to me here, and then we went to the shelter, and then from that one shelter I have two. From that one I went to the other one, and then the girls were extremely afraid, so I had to spend some time with them, to make them feel a little bit more comfortable.
How many girls are there in the shelter and what age group is this?
There's altogether, I have 18 of them in one shelter, and 14 of them, 11, yeah, 14 of them in another one. So that's about how much I have. And yeah, so the ages are from the youngest, apart from their children, the youngest one that I have is 14, and the oldest one is a lady is an old lady of about maybe more than 75 or so.
Okay.
So
Have they
yeah.
given you any directions or asked you for any changes in the way you function?
No, because I don't think they really even knew how we are functioning and what is
Yeah.
happening. So they are trying to understand it now, but the worst thing, number one, the fact that they do show up at night, which is not right. Number two, they come and face everybody with a very, how shall I say, with an extremely accusatory, um, you know, way. So like everything that everyone tells them, the words that come out of their mouth is wrong, is a lie. So once you kind of start that, so that is really provoking people in a way. So they do that, and they think that they're all liars, and the only ones that are not is them. So yeah, so they start like that, and that becomes really, really bothersome, very much.
So in coming days, how difficult do you see your situation really running the shelters and staying there? Are you going to be in touch with, at least somebody in the government to be able to, help you or make them understand? Or
I,
it's not possible at
I
all?
no, I don't know who in the government, to tell you the honest truth. I really have no idea. But I will try to get in touch with some of them. And then meanwhile, I'm just going to use the platform, the media platform that I have, and trying to tell the Taliban a few things that I think they shouldn't do, the way that they should change their ways, because it's not going to be good for them. So that's it. That's about it. Otherwise, I would have really liked to sit down and talk to them, so we could find out exactly, how we do the work, how they do it, and how we could, at this point, really collaborate. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think so.
Do you
So
really feel threatened at this stage?
I'm sorry.
Do you feel threatened when you say that?
No, no, no. I shouldn't say that I do. No, I got a bit upset last night, and I just, I really did, because I'm not used to this kind of speech that they do talk to. They're very demeaning and accusatory, and they have this way of speech. I'm not used to that at all. So that upsets me. That really annoys me to big time. But apart from that, no, it's okay. So far, it's okay. So far, I'm all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the girls in your shelter, were they scared?
They're fine.
Were they
They're fine.
talking to them? They're fine?
Well, of course, they didn't like at all the fact that, because the two of the Taliban went and sat down and asked them about their name and questions and everything. So they didn't like that at all, because one of them even said to the guy, he said, I'm wondering how come our boss Mr. Rogers bringing you here, because in this place, no, and never a man comes in, never, which is so true. We don't. All of the workers for my shelters are all women, and the men are absolutely not allowed to enter their quarters. Absolutely. And these guys, they were there, so the girls were really upset about that. They said, "I wonder how come she has even given you permission." So, and then I
So these
told
are
them,
homeless girls. Are they orphans? Are
most
they
most of them,
mostly from the
yes.
back?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they are from abused backgrounds. Yeah, that's who they are.
So you
But
really see
but
that it's ironical with the Taliban government really announcing to the world that they're open to having women in government and allowing girls to go to school. But the fact of the matter, as we discussed, was that schools have opened and only boys are going. So
yeah, that's true. Right now, that's exactly what it is. But they say they are working on the schools, to open schools for girls too. I don't know what is holding them back. So we'll see. We'll see really what's happening. Something is happening. I just don't know where. So just have to find out. Yeah, that's what it is.
yes, we were talking about the drug problem. How do you see really with the Taliban wanting the release of certain big drug lords, with not just girls but even boys and the younger generation, which is jobless, really turning to this kind of drug trade, with Afghanistan really being a major hub in all these years, and it's only been increasing.
I don't know what kind of a plans for drugs they have, because the strangest thing is that they have lived in such a, how shall I say, such a bubble, in their lives, of no contact, no information with the world, that whatever they know is really, it's very old information that is they have. They don't know anything new really about the world, about how the drug problems are, why there is a drug problem, why it happens, what it does to society. Nothing like that. They still think that, I'm sure, they can beat the drug habit out of a person by by beating them, like the same way they believe that they can beat Islam into a person and making them a better Muslim. So that's what I think, that's what they want to do, or they believe they can do. And anything else is like, no, they're not. They don't care. So with the drug situation, it's like, but they really don't know what kind of a horrible thing it is that it's, a society will deal with. So we'll see what happens. I have to see.
What are your views on the Sharia laws, since we're talking about how they're really implementing, and how do you see things going forward, particularly for women?
The Sharia law, if they really stand behind it and really, hold on to it and be absolutely not budging, is not going to be good, because their interpretation of Sharia law is extremely hard, very harsh, extremely harsh. So the way they see the Sharia law, absolutely there is no living under that law. Absolutely no living, at the sense that we all know. So that's going to be very difficult. Now, what we can do about it, or what the world can do about it, I don't think the people of Afghanistan, we can do anything about it. But there's one thing, however, if we could help ourselves, not to get kind of a ready for, saying that, for example, the just as an example, as the Afghan people, we are very funny. We kind of, you know, almost we are like reminding Taliban that these are the types of things you can do. Like, for example, we start wearing burqas. Nobody asked us to wear burqas, so why do we wear burqa? So when they see burqa, then they remember burqa. Oh, yeah, they have to wear burqas. So, like that. Or, for example, some of the places, the girls, the women are not going to work. And it's like, why aren't you going to work? It's because, when then they remember, oh, they shouldn't be going then, if that's the case. Things like this. So, or wearing, the way they are covering their heads, or the way they are covering themselves, in such a ways that Taliban hasn't said anything, but they are just overdoing it, because of the fear. And that's not helping at all. That is not making things, making things easier. Not at all.
And how do
So,
you see this present situation compared to how you grew up way back, which you were calling, the golden era, really?
oh,
How different were things then? And what do you think was the tipping point?
the golden era was such a different time. Such a different time. There was hundreds of possibilities. Millions of things could be happening. And right now, definitely, the one thing is not a golden era, of course. And the difference is just like, oof, day and night between what it was and what is allowed now and what was done then. So yeah, so it's extremely difficult for women. It's so hard. It's so hard on my sisters. I cannot tell you. This whole this whole atmosphere of the fear outside is just too much. Too much. It's driving everybody crazy. Because the way the Taliban are approaching everything is like you are 100% guilty until proven innocent. So there you go. It's not
And
good.
what do you think has brought about this kind of suspicion? Is it really inherent to the Taliban, or do you really see 20 years of how U.S. forces stayed, and do they really see every person now with a lot of suspicion? So
Well,
is the comeback really been hard because of
it was hard. It was really hard. It was really hard on them. I mean, definitely. The kind of, now that I think of it, they actually lived 20 years with the fear of drones attacks, to their homes and their lives, livelihoods, and everything. And that's a very difficult thing to be living under. And I'm not saying it because, I'm saying it from the point of view of a human being.
Yeah, we were talking of an impending civil strife and a humanitarian crisis really blowing up. How do you see uh, the future, and who do you really blame for it?
Who do I blame for it? For whatever is happening in Afghanistan today? Well, I'm actually blaming the whole world. I'm blaming the United States. I'm blaming the government of Afghanistan very much. I'm blaming everybody else in Afghanistan because they promoted, this whole culture of this. There is this funny culture being promoted. Everybody was stealing, and the stealing was a perfect thing to do. And there was so much corruption. I mean, this culture of corruption was like unbelievable, and everybody was following it, thinking that they don't have any other choice. So I don't know. That is making it really bad, and I do blame quite a lot of people on that. Quite a lot.
How do you see the future of the resistance?
The future of the resistance, I really can't say much because I really don't know whether it is a resistance or it is to create a position for a few people. If it's a resistance are usually different. Resistance are not, how shall I say, particular a person bound or something like that. Although they do follow one person, but but then usually starts from one place and it kind of goes to another place and then grows and goes to another place. It doesn't stay in one area. It has to move. It has to spread. I don't see any spread of it right now, and because there is we should not forget there is such a war fatigue in Afghanistan. I mean, the United States took their soldiers because of the war fatigue. They don't even know what kind of a war fatigue we have. 40 years of this bloody thing going on and on and on and on and on and on. It's just killing us completely. So because of that, it's very difficult, to sell the idea you know, of resistance and one group and one party standing in front of everybody. It's becoming very hard. So, and besides, not Ahmad Massoud, no, but everybody else. There are such the rest of the ex-Mujahids. They're such a corrupt people that nobody wants to stand around them at all. So who's going to be, coming into the picture? Nobody. That's what it is.
How do you see Pakistan's role in all of this? Do you see them fomenting more trouble, or do you really think that they could have some kind of hold on Taliban to make things better for themselves?
No, of course they could have had they do have a hold on the Taliban. They could have made it better. The guy from the ISI didn't have to be here in Kabul, didn't have to put his nose into the affairs of Afghanistan, didn't have to, make sure that the whole world knows that he's over here and he's seeing his guys, quote unquote, the boys. He didn't have to do that. They could have just, not done that, and things would have been different. But they chose to do that, and they have, and now things are completely different. Now we have, the Haqqani group sitting here. The Haqqani group are dealing with the government, and that by itself has created a whole lot of rift in between the group. It really has.
How do you see India's role in all of this? Do you think we are as much as bystanders watching the situation unfold in Afghanistan, or do you really have hope from New Delhi in really helping the Afghan people in different ways?
Well, I really had a whole lot of hope from New Delhi, but for some strange reason, I don't know why, New Delhi with as much of as they're a fantastic friends of ours, and they do really help us a hell of a lot. But then anytime it has come to these changes of government, like the time when the communists came to Afghanistan, and the time like right now, New Delhi kind of, stays backwards in the back, or they take side of the people that they are not supposed to, or they don't do what we are expecting of India to do. So I don't know what is there must be their policy, or must be something that they do, I don't know, purposely, or it's because of the pressure of the world, or whatever. But they could have done a whole lot more, and they chose not to. So now I don't know what their policy is going to be. I know that they wanted to, get some of the families that they have moved, people that have moved to India, to kind of, give them a place to stay until all of their paperwork and everything is done. So, they do want to do things like that. But how effective it's going to be from here on, I really don't know, because there was a window of amazing opportunity for India, and that kind of was missed.
What is it that you really expected, which has fallen short?
With the Indians, within the Indian government.
Yes, yes.
I was expecting more of the mediation. I was expecting more of getting involved in the talks. I was expecting more of them, being there talking to the president of Afghanistan and telling him not to do what he was planning to do, because President Moody, and I mean, Prime Minister, he's your Prime Minister, right? Moody, Prime Minister Moody, and Ashraf Ghani, they were very close. They were close friends, or whatever, or they liked each other. So his words could have had an effect on Ashraf Ghani, and maybe Ashraf Ghani didn't have to do, wouldn't, maybe would have listened to him, and not done what he did, which was really, by doing what he did, he put us all in such a horrible place. He really did. So.
So for India, you also think that vis-a-vis Pakistan, um, Islamabad, of course, has got enough strategic depth, inroads, and been completely on top of things as far as negotiations or the future of Afghanistan is concerned.
Yeah, Pakistan is on top of the whole thing. Pakistan and China, both of them. So they really have a very strong hold right now on Afghanistan. And as far as, I mean, the foreign policy of India also, I was thinking that they might want to get a hold on Afghanistan's foreign policy. Right now, with the way with Pakistan and China is involved, and I thought India might want to involve themselves a little bit more, but they didn't. For some reason, they didn't. So I don't know. I cannot tell you, what is really going on inside India. I don't know why it
How
was
how
not,
how
but
long do
it
you
could have
see
been.
the Taliban government really sustaining itself in Afghanistan? There'll be economic crisis. There is stability. There's a world international image to be kept. How are they going to? How long do you think you've watched the situation for a long time now?
If they go on like this, if they go on the way they're doing right now, uh, with this kind of not informing themselves, not being aware of it, not having some kind of a proper, you know, communication between themselves, like the right hand knowing what the left hand is doing, really very basic. If they don't do this, they're not going to last too long. Not because of anything else, because everything is going to implode inside Afghanistan. But if they do, and if they really want to make a government that's all inclusive, if they really want to get the women involved, if they really want to get everybody on their side, maybe it will be a different ball game. But whether they have that in them or not, that is an entirely different story.
But these are essentially the same leaders who were part of Taliban one, uh, with almost the same people coming back. There's very little
Absolutely
scope of
older,
change.
yeah, yeah, same group, older. And while they lived someplace that they had, they lived in a bubble, so they didn't get any information while they were living. So
And after their proximity to Pakistan and sustaining, from involvement with a lot of people in Pakistan, the exiled government being there, does that influence also worsen things?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
With
I
the
was just
Taliban, yeah, with the Taliban leadership really taking shelter in Pakistan all these years,
right.
their comeback has also become a little more radicalized, a little more rigid.
Yeah,
Do you see that?
yeah, definitely, definitely, a lot more. And then it's been 20 years of them, really suffering. Let's not forget that they really did. They really did. So yeah. So right now, it's a whole lot of animosity going on. It's like towards every Afghan is. It's like we suffered for the 20 years, and you people were sitting there and having a good time. That's the attitude.
That's the attitude of the Taliban, you're saying.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Within people in Afghanistan, is there a lot of sympathy in a way, and also happiness about the exit of at least the US forces? So, is that a certain kind of an acceptance that the people do have for the Taliban?
Well, yeah, there is a lot of unacceptance for the Taliban. They really have to prove themselves. Very much so. Very much so. Because it's been quite a while that we've been living differently. So by right now they have to do things very differently. So yes, it's a huge unacceptance for them. So we'll
What's
see.
your message to women in Afghanistan and secondly to the world community?
Uh, to the women in Afghanistan, my message is that if you really want to stay in this country, if you really are committed to stay in Afghanistan, then make that commitment. Stay and let's make it happen if you really want to. And that is something that is so personal to every Afghan woman that they have to decide how they want to do it. I cannot say to anybody, do this or do that. I am not going to, I refuse to do that. And to the world leaders, I would say, you know, I would say what I really want to say is thank you, but no thanks. Really. Don't do anything for us. Because every single time you turn around and you want to do something for Afghanistan, you mess us up. And you have done it for always. So beautifully. So what's the difference? Why can't you do it again? I'm sure you're going to do it again. So if you really want to bring about a change, and really do something from the depth of your hearts. Don't do it. Don't do it. Then let us be. Wherever we are, whatever we are doing, however we are, if we are all going to die of hunger, if we are going to whatever, then take the consequences and leave us. Because the consequences are going to be extremely bad for the world. Because once this becomes the home of terror, then the world will know what is going to be done. But if you want to help, then it's a different story. You can help in many different ways. And the number one is that no lip service, please, no more lip service. I want you to do what you say or don't say it. But my main message is really to the people of the world, especially women. I want the women to stand with us. I want the women to support us. I want for us women to finally form that solidarity that we need to. So let's see what happens.
Right. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.